Okay, hola all, welcome back to Soul Mechanics. Hopefully this get us all caught up here for tomorrow when we get back on track with the investigation with Sweet Cheeks. So, as it stands, there's just a few things I want to cover so that I don't lose track of them entirely as regards the whole simulation theory thing and the spot casting measures, which I wanted to make note of something that I've spoken before as to how I'm using spotcasting through the song of the day on the initiative page. We also utilize spotcasting through the themes, which the themes, what was going on with the themes when we first started the initiative page and we were running through the themes every week, then bi-weekly, monthly, even sometimes the themes that we were doing, was that interests and especially problems that members had in the group would tend to line up. Like, I would talk to people on Messenger. I used to be a lot more active with the members talking to the Messenger. Like, on Messenger, I used to talk to just about all the members daily. You know, for the most part, we would keep very closely in touch. Save a few members here and there that I never really got in touch with directly so much. I mean, I met with most of them. Some of them I didn't meet at all. Whatever, doesn't matter. What matters is that I used to keep up with everybody on a daily basis, and more often than not, it was not necessarily because we had developed such a tight friendship, but more so because they had so many difficulties that I was, assisting them with, essentially counseling people through difficulties. And there were a few members, for those of you out there who are thinking this, yes, there were members who were consistently counseling me through my troubles. So I very highly appreciate that. You guys know who you are. Special shout out to Alice and Jess especially. You guys were very helpful to me and you got me to where I am, and I thank you so much for it. But yeah, for the most part, I was counseling a lot of the members through issues, and I noticed that members usually would tend to have the same kind of issues happening at the same time, and I was able to pick out themes that regarded these issues and or interests as they arose amongst the majority of the group members that I was speaking with. And so that theme became a very convenient, very effective delivery mechanism, because that obviously that's on people's minds. That's something that's touching at the root, at the core of their value system. It's approachable. It's easily made use of insofar as concerns accessibility. It is very accessible and would allow for values that I presented to slip right in very easily, because the operating system would be wide open in the case that they're actively seeking assistance, most especially. But even if assistance is offered and accepted, that operating system is open. And of course, this is because if you're seeking somebody's counsel, then you're voluntarily opening up your operating system to receive values. That's what you're doing, whether you're aware of it or not. That's essentially what therapy is you're opening up the hood and you're allowing for somebody to tinker with the mechanics of you. And again, this might come across as being, when we speak about things like manipulating value systems and whatnot, this might come across as being something innately negative. It's not. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what therapy is. That's what therapy was developed to be. That's why we have therapists. And so, yeah, I became kind of the counsel for most of the people. And then, of course, I had the directive, my team of people, both the original and the new directive, who were people that essentially were there to counsel me and to take care of me, make sure that I wasn't doing things incorrectly, or I'd be able to bounce ideas off of them and get input as to what I should or should not do, how I should manage things, what's most beneficial for everybody involved, especially what's most beneficial for the objectives of the initiative. So anyways, I have mentioned that I utilize the songs. The song of the day is maintained. We don't do the themes anymore, although I'd like to, but and themes is, again, effective delivery mechanism. It's a very useful idea. But the songs of the day, a lot of people will still comment to me on Messenger, even though I don't keep up with a lot of the members anymore. I'm spread out all over the network, the other groups, and especially YouTube channels and whatnot, so I've got a lot going on there, and I'm sorry, I don't have the time. If anybody needs me on Messenger, you can contact me anytime you want. That's what I'm here for. Don't hesitate. It makes me feel excellent to be able to be helpful to you guys, so don't ever think that you're burdening me or bothering me in any way. But it's just a lot of people don't really have troubles anymore so much. Fixed them all. But some people do. And I can see some of you out there who have troubles that you're not letting on to, that you're hiding, and that's okay if you don't want to talk about it or what have you. But if you do, again, don't feel as though you're being in any way burdening. It makes me feel good to do that, genuinely. So, and I'm teaching you guys how to make use of this spotcasting here. So, effectively giving me the opportunity to make use of it with you allots me an opportunity to also train you and teach you how it works, which is what I'm going to try and do here, for the most part. A lot of people will still comment to me on Messenger, as I was saying, about how the song of the day has affected them, or the dedication has affected them in some manner or another. And this is always happening. Most of the time it's winging it. It's just intuition. I have an intuition about certain people. I can see what's going on with them. I am watching you guys most of the time, even if I'm not keeping up. I am paying attention. I do have the rest of my team is paying attention. You guys, a lot of the time, they're watching out for you guys. And so, basically I'm giving feedback to the song of the day, what I think, what my intuition is about a certain subject or topic, and then the song itself presents a delivery mechanism in the sense that the song will open up a person's operating system. If they know the song, there are values intrinsic in that song that are inherent in just the melody of the song presents values, the lyrics of the song present values, but then most especially memories that are associated to that song present values, and that's where the initial concept of time mechanics comes into play, where we attach memory data to sensory data. So we associate one neuron for a certain memory that fires off a series of neurons replicating essentially a memory, and most especially the emotions and the physiological reactions attached to a memory. We associate that to a sensory perception such as a scent or a song that will trigger it. So that's again the primer and the cue. The cue sets off the reaction that triggers the memory that causes for that physiological reaction to occur. This is the same thing as PTSD, except we're using it in a good way. We want to trigger strong positive emotions and positive reactions. We want to trigger healing mechanisms and reset mechanisms that are going off that are negative. Try and avoid those, and or face negative. In some cases you want to face the negative ones and get through them, face your fear, deal with things, whatever the case, whatever the circumstance calls for. So that's how the song of the day works, essentially. And today we got a member in earlier who was asking for help, and the reason that I was so accepting of this person straight off is because she was posting, asking to share a fundraiser that she's doing for a friend of hers who is going blind. He has a genetic abnormality that's causing for him to go blind. I guess I'm presuming it's a genetic abnormality. I don't know why he's going blind, but people, generally speaking, it's going to be a genetic abnormality that causes for people to gradually go blind. They're effectively what we call legally blind in the first place, and then gradually lose their sight, as was the case with my closest friend Jeff growing up, who I've spoken to several times on the channel. He was legally blind, and he gradually lost his sight, and then personal matters occurred that caused for him to eventually wind up taking his own life. He shot himself, and I feel in ways not as though I'm at fault for it, but that I'm in some ways responsible for it, and I also have very negative ties with that memory associated to religion and religion's influence upon his decision there, which religion's influence upon my decisions that influenced his decisions. Even like religion just had a very heavy, Christianity specifically had a very heavy influence upon that situation, and I do feel as though it was in some ways at fault. So that's what got us off on this religion problematic religious area. But anyways, that's what made me feel for this girl and for a fundraiser and wanting to help her, and I was immediately like, hell yeah, I'll share your fundraiser, post it on the initiative page, and I'll boost it to the network. But what she did when I accepted her on, I approved her on the page as a member, is she posted a song instead. And when I listened to this song, two things happened. One, the song itself, Spotcast Me, turned my attitude around, made me feel better about the day because the weather was shit and I was feeling really down and depressed, and it turned it around and made me feel good because of the memories that are associated with that. My mom loves that song, she loves the band, and so it just generally boosted my mentality and my emotions. But at the same time, there was a little girl in the music video wearing a bumblebee costume, and that right there, that cue, the bumblebee, was attached to another post that I had seen recently about the bumblebee population dying out, and how I guess bees had been identified now as, or recognized now as, the most important creature on the planet, or something like that, the most important species, I don't know. So bees, obviously, bees are iconized now, and they're recognized as being as important as they should have been recognized as being beforehand, which we didn't. I guess we just forgot how important bees are, and we let them all die, or even killed them all. I don't know. I hadn't gotten too deep into that, but a friend had, a fellow YouTuber who I'm trying to recruit into the collective, and I've been trying to get this guy in the collective for a long while. He had made a video about bees and about how effective a remedy or you know, a general food, it's like a superfood, that actual, you know, legit honey straight from the comb is, that actual real honey, not the processed honey shit we get from the store, but actual real raw honey, natural honey is amazing superfood, and this dude made a few videos about it, and it reminded me of a video I had done talking about that, because of the association between the bee costume and the bee post, which, mind you, the bee post was posted by a new admin on the team named Brooklyn, who, she came from the Truth family originally. She had posted the post about the bees, which she happened to be the person who approved the post of the song with the bee costume. So there's little synchronicities line up there, obviously, and that's how spotcasting works. There's going to be these little synchronicities all over the place all the time that are associating things together and making things happen, and you can notice the ones that are important. Where it comes to doing spotcasting on the fly, like I do with the songs of the day, it's very important to pay attention to these little synchronicities, because they're going to tip you off. That's a part of your intuition at play. There's going to be little coincidences that tip you off as to whether something's a good idea or not, or why even, and how to go about making use of that opportunity. So she spotcast me with that song, and what it caused for me to do is go and contact this YouTuber friend who I've been trying to recruit, who I had forgotten about forever and ever now. For like months I had forgotten about this guy. I gave up on trying to recruit him because it just become taskless. Like I wasn't getting anywhere with it. But when I contacted him today, he just so happened to have posted a question that nobody had an answer to, but of course I do. And that gave me an opportunity to get through to him, to start up a correspondence. And now I have this opportunity, effectively, probably have even already convinced him to sign on with the collective, because the new girl spotcast me without knowing she had done it through the song of the day. So, that took 15 minutes nearly to tell that story, so I think I'm going to have to stop here. I was going to speak to some advantages and disadvantages, but again, that's a huge topic. What I'd like to clear up, though, about the advantages I mentioned in the last update was that where we speak to humanity being given a reason to worship itself, there are deeper implications to that. It's not just that if humanity created a simulation and we're, a simulation that effectively we created and we're the ancestor simulation, as they like to think of it. That's the idea they have, is that we're the past, we're living in the past, which, I mean, I've already stated to you guys in so many ways we actually are living in the past. So these line up. It's like, the deeper I dig into it, the more I am, in fact, drifting towards wanting to believe the simulation theory. So, but, advantages of believing it, obviously, is that humanity would effectively be worshiping itself, because humanity would be, we would take the spotlight off of the fictitious, legendary God figure from biblical scripture and place it where it belongs, on ourselves, on our own heritage, and on our potential future. But of course, again, disadvantages to that is that it's going to take the spotlight off of the rest of creation. We're going to focus on humanity, consider humanity to be the God figure, which doesn't change anything so much, because obviously it was humanity that wrote the Bible, and that's what we're actually worshiping with religion, is the Bible, not God. There is no biblical God to be worshipped. There's an idea of a fictitious dictator character from the past who may or may not have been real. We don't know. My personal theory is that yes, this God figure was a real person in the past, but a person. Whatever the case, that doesn't matter. What matters is that it takes the spotlight off of takes the spotlight off of the Bible, essentially, and places it where it belongs, in the hand of humanity, places the power in the hand of humanity, gives us our responsibility back, in effect. However, it also takes the spotlight off of the remainder of nature and places it solely on our technology. That's a big disadvantage we're going to have to look at in the next video. For now, I'm going to clip it and say, just bear that in mind. There are reasons why we would want to place that spotlight on our technology specifically, and if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you already know what they are. So that's what we'll catch up with the next update. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much to the new girl for joining. We're going to do what we can with your fundraiser. I'm really happy to have you aboard. Please, go apeshit. Post whatever you want to. Obviously, your very first post was exceptionally effective. Everything you guys post has an effect out there. And what would be really good to set an example of that is for you guys to actually speak up openly. A few of you have commented on how my song today has affected you in positive ways before. But I know, I'm watching, I know that it's affecting a lot of you all the time. So if you can comment on that and say, this is how it affected me, and give us an example, that'd be really good. Let's make an experiment out of this. Show us how effective that spotcasting measure is, so that people become aware, people wake up, people start to get interested. This is what spotters do. It's our job to build interest in certain categories, in certain areas of interest, so that people will, in fact, invest their attention and their time in creating the experience, what comes from that investment. That's what we need to be doing. Building interest in the things that we know are of import. Everybody's spending their budget of attention on meaningless, senseless, routine, time sinks that society has provided to distract them. Let's get people back on point with the things that actually matter and are going to help us build a better, more effective future for us. So, I mean, if we're living in a simulation theory, that's only because somewhere in the future we make it, right? We kind of have to get there if we want for that to be the case. So if that's what you want to think, we're in a simulation right now, that means we have to bust our asses to be able to build one come due. So, thank you all for watching. Kila Salai, Terli Uni Siari, Namaste.